Okay, starting back up with the fast food franchise, I took the blue player turn, and wow, I was planning on kind of letting things pass a little bit. Well, first of all, blue went around the nationwide taste test. That's the one corner that doesn't have an automatic as you pass effect. You have to actually land on it. But then the other thing is they landed on New Orleans, a market right near Miami, and they bought another dark and gooey chocolate. They only have 2 market slips. They're out now. But better than paying the $160,000 to buy another one. They're a little low on money though at this point. They've already paid $160,000. They've got 190 left. They're hoping somebody lands on them. They can expand some franchises, whatever. All right, onward. I've had a few more actions take place. First of all, Red pushed forward, built another pizza pavilion, this time in St. Louis. That's within striking distance of their Detroit one, so they're kind of thinking I can hook these up. That's not so bad. Yes, they're far apart on the board. Okay, but let's see what we get next. Yellow pushed forward to an advertising slot, and they actually paid this. This cost them less than they paid. I paid a franchise cost for that, so that only cost them $16,000, and so they have $4,000 back. They're gonna have to pay for it when they slide around here, but they're hoping to get maybe an extra hit or whatever. Just coverage of the board is so important with some of these things, and they want to make sure they get some cash. It's hard because money's tight in this one too. Usually players start dropping out in the 5-player game pretty quickly. Not trying to make money doesn't work well. You can't just hold things tight to the vest usually. If you're going to do that, you want to play with, you still want to put lots of pieces down on the board. You want to play with whole donuts and try to get lots of income as you go by start. Nobody's really going with that route. Closest is probably the dark and gooey chocolate, which is a low layout for the income return that you get, but you don't get that start move. Pizza might be kind of similar to the donuts proposition. It's not going to knock anybody out of the game likely. But then here we go. Green rolled a 6. They land here, and they've got to take a ride over to the pizza pavilion here, and they've got to pay. They got to pay $8,000, which I'll shift over to Red, and then Red's allowed to expand, and they'll be doing that into here by paying $16,000. So they're going to lose $8,000 to get an extra franchise, but they get to grow this way, and growing is so important in this game. I'll take care of that, and then move on to black, and just keep playing until something else interesting comes up. A little bit further along the line, blue landed here on an advertising space and bought themselves a slip for $6,000. Again, not a big investment. We saw black did the same. I don't know if I caught that over here. For $12,000. Again, it's claiming board presence. As long as green doesn't have a company, everybody's stuck at one company. Nobody can buy a second corporation. All right, on to red. They passed the investment opportunity space, spent $16,000 more to increase their pizza markets, or their pizza pavilion chains. They're trying to grow these together. They want to make sure this guy gets out to where he can live, because he could get stuck in here very easily with the terrain surrounding Detroit. Now he's in Los Angeles. Now he can't open a new company. That would be what he'd love to do. Question is, does he want to spend $40,000 to open up a pizza here? It's not completely out of the realm of the possible to connect that up. It's somewhat of an intriguing idea, but I would rather not right now. Money's kind of short. His strategy card has this buyout that allows him to buy a lot of additional franchises for good money. He'd rather not be building this at this point. So we're going to keep going with some of the other players. Yellow went next, whipping through investment opportunity, landing on San Jose. He spent $100,000 to advance into New York. Didn't have to. He could have putzed out this way, but he wanted that extra market there. Big money, double cost, but getting control of the corner like that seems like a real value to him. And then to the next player, we hit green, who had nothing. Going around investment, he has the option to do something as he goes by, but he also gets to see where he's going to land, which is going to be here. Now here's his problem. He's got a few companies available of interest. He's got, there's not a lot left. Steak and salad, which is tempting. This is the first, I almost just did this. For $70,000, he could throw himself in Seattle, and he's in position where a couple of people are right there ready to go. And then for $30,000 more, he could drop the ad here, but that may be going a little too enthusiastic on steak and salad. Other option, whole donut, $30,000, but the ads aren't too expensive at $8,000 there. $30,000 for a franchise or for a market, very cheap franchises, not a lot of payout. The goal with donuts is to spread all over the board. Now he could kind of dominate this whole section of the board, and one of his hopes was land on a market, buy a double market together using the investment opportunity in that. That's one of the reasons why it's not bad necessarily to have nothing in hand. That didn't work out though. Instead he's got this ad, and that's not tempting in the same way. Of course, he's got Burger Brothers still available and Ice Cream Scream, sort of at the opposite ends of things. Ice Cream Scream doesn't intrigue me as a starting company with one advertising slip, even though it's cheap as hell. He could buy this without much trouble. It doesn't have a huge, franchises are not expensive, but they produce, they're more expensive than whole donut ones, and they produce less. There's more markets. It's a painful question there. You can make a lot of money off start with that. He could grab the ad bonus. I think he's going to go with the ice cream option. Try to, because the steak, yeah, he might get lucky, but he might not. And I think the ice cream's his best move. So we're going to do that. Couple quick placements after that ice cream action. You notice he got the ad too because it's so cheap at $2,000. Black ended up landing here. Now Black was the first player who could have taken a second company. Didn't want to though. Family style. Hey, this is as close as he's going to get to hooking himself up. He doesn't have a lot of markets. There's not a lot of room for markets on this board with all these players. So it seemed reasonable to keep the one company, but then Blue decided to open up a new company when he ran through here. He couldn't do it with the investment opportunity, but he expanded his Dark and Greek chocolate for $12,000, but added donuts, and donuts was really the only company he could do that left with because it's got such a low cash investment. At this point, all that's left now is steak and burgers, and those are big boys. The only chance somebody's going to have to get those things started with any power is maybe the guy with ice cream could do it, but somebody without a lot of somebody with a lot of cash really is what you need to have doing either of those. Steak is more limited territorially, but burgers can become quite a powerhouse across the entire board, as well as being worth a lot on a hit. Okay, let's keep going. We're on to the Reds. So as soon as I give advice, what does Red do? They go off and buy themselves the Burger Brothers and take one of those big boys, even though they already have pizza to support. It's a possible thing. They spent $50,000. This doesn't need to grow huge. It's cheaper than the steak option. It doesn't make as big a payoff, but it can become huge though. It just doesn't have to, and they can expect to be able to expand up into San Francisco. If they can't make it there, it becomes this little fragment that maybe will get sold off at some point. Then we go to Yellow, and Yellow swings through start, and they're going to land on this family style where they're going to have to pay $13,000. They can afford that. Let's just get see how start works to begin with. Well, Chicken Surprise has 1, 2. Franchises attached to this market and 1, 2 to that market. So it has 4 total franchises at $2,000 each. It's going to produce $8,000. Then he has to pay for the ad, which is $16,000. So he's going to owe a total of $8,000 for having passed start. He loses money, but he wants to keep his ad. It's not that expensive. and it's not doing any damage there. Yes, it's far behind, but he may not get it again, and he might want to play some more. Remember, dominating the board positions is important. So now he's landed on family style, and there he has to pay another $13,000. And let's see if black has a couple thousand for him. He does. And now the black player can expand for $24,000, and he certainly wants to. Remember, getting control of things on either side is the important thing. I'll pay that money, and then we'll go on to the green player and keep going. I hate to do this, but green had an interesting little action, so I wanted to show it. This is because of Ice Cream's peculiarities. But he whips around start and lands here. Now, he only has one franchise. That's $2,000, which he has to pay for the ad. Or he can rip up the ad. And if he rips up the ad and builds it here again instead, he still breaks even. Still that $2,000 spent. He's not going to make any money off of going around start. But he's moved the ad closer to where more people can hit it. This guy, black, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not a likely number, and everyone else is even worse off. Here, he's got that same 4 for red, with black and blue much, much more likely to hit that ad. Yeah, it'll whip them completely around the board, but hey, what the hell, you know? He can always tear it up some other time. Ice Cream Scream ads are, you know, just like hanging toilet paper on the walls, right? All right. I think I'm going to go once more around because I want to have enough to load up. Blue didn't make a pass start. They landed on an ad space and took a slip out for $6,000. Yes, they're going to have to pay for it again here, but what they're thinking is they may want to get rid of this one anyway. This one says, don't eat donuts, and they don't really like that option. On the other hand, they may just pay the $12,000 and keep them both up to keep their dark and gooey running on as many cylinders as possible. It's a hard call either way. You can make the choice in either direction, but it's usually bad to tell people not to eat one of your things. Then over to red, well, they whipped around start, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, made $10,000. Minus $4,000 for an ad gives them $6,000. They took that in cash, but they landed here, so they bought another Pizza Pavilion because they can hook these up all very easily and start getting multipliers off of, multipliers off of the different markets, basically. Moving on through the right-hand side of the board. Okay, let's take a look at what's happened here because yellow went first with Chicken Surprise. They flung around here, landed here, drew themselves another strategy card. They had the Incite Strike, now they have the Hostile Takeover. Those are hard card. The Hostile Takeover is a hard card to use in this many players because you don't have a lot of cash. But they did land here, opened up a market here, and they're now setting up a Chicken Hell row, which is going to be very painful if anybody gets stuck hitting there because they could all get connected very easily. Over to the green player. Poor fella. He landed over on strategy opportunity. Nothing bad with that. He drew a strategy card. He gets to play one. But he didn't want to. He drew a good credit opportunity, which gives you some cash. Nice. But you got to pay $20,000 interest on that all the time. It's just painful. And his other one was a Hostile Takeover, which would allow him to buy a market slip and all attached franchises of another corporation for twice the market and franchise cost to the owning player. So he could have, for example, bought this burger, but he'd have to pay $100,000 to Burger Brothers to take that over. That's a painful, painful cost. Where this is really useful is when you're going to land on some big mega conglomeration of stuff, and maybe you can, you know, cut off the edge of it that you're hitting by paying less to the owner and actually getting something when you're going to land on them. It's also sometimes useful taking over a company that's not too far from your base price. Okay, but that didn't work here. Now, let's take a look at black because they just rolled and moved here. Now, they get an investment opportunity before they get to draw their event. The investment opportunity, they have to make up their mind what they're going to do with it. You're going to look at their thing. They can sell a whole bunch of stuff. That's usually not too good a card. So they're going to keep expanding. And the hard choice here is which one do they want to expand. This one has the advertising, so they're going to expand it at 24,000. I owe that. I'll get that in a minute. But I want to take a look at the event card while I'm here. Sudden upsurge in demand. Select a market space and a player, not you, to land on it. Move that player's token clockwise around the board until it arrives at the selected market space, resolving all the strategy opportunity, investment opportunity, and start as though it's that player's turn. So I can make somebody land on me. Bonus. If I had known about that, I would have made a triple and slammed somebody into that. But I didn't. And now the question is, which one do I want to make people land on? Well, I don't want to give people a strategy opportunity chance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take yellow and I'm going to send them, because they're not likely to hit this anyway, over here to Family Style. Now remember, I owe $24,000 already. But this guy, yellow, is going to be paying me $26,000 in cash, and then I get to expand another space for $24,000 again. So we're going to see things a little different in a moment. I'll play that out, and then I'll load this up. So the net effect of all of that is yellow's here, Family Style's almost connected. This card is, well, it's gone. Gets shuffled back in eventually, I guess, like next game basically. But one of the biggies, Family Style or Chicken Surprise, is getting low on money. They're under 100,000 now, and you know, this is the thing, is it's very easy to bankrupt yourself. They had to spend 150,000 to buy this row, and now if nobody lands on it anytime soon, if nobody gives them that cash, they may be running out soon. And there's a lot of luck in this game. There's no question of that. I'm going to load this one up. It's going to be bedtime for me. But I'll come back and finish up tomorrow or whatever.